Absolutely. Now, I have been teaching, classes on the Constitution since 2001, and occasionally we get down to the county level, and I point out that the sheriff is the highest constitutional executive authority in any county. He has a lot of power and a lot of responsibility, and everyone who takes an oath of office to protect and defend the Constitution, is required to protect and defend our lives, liberty, and private property.
Right.
I mean, we don't expect them to go to the National Archive and stand in front of the Constitution. They promise to protect and defend the Constitution, but we're not asking them to, intervene anybody who's trying to put a magic marker to the parchment.
Right.
So the sheriff of a county is very, very important. And so how many people are you planning to relocate to this Texas county?
Well, we'll probably, we've got over 300 that signed up, but I'm saying probably 150 right off the bat. And the great thing about these people is they have skills. There's one guy in Washington State that has 2 bulldozers and 2 backhoes. He's a contractor. He hasn't worked for 3 months. He can build and do anything. He wants to bring all of his equipment down there and start working. We've got farmers. We've got 2 goat farmers in Missouri that want to locate their whole herd down there. They're getting away from the NAIS and that Real ID, their premise registration stuff. And we've got a couple of electronics engineers. I'm trying to think. We've got 2 plumbers, a bunch of carpenters. There's a couple right now with their family. They're actually in the town right now. They're camping out there all week, and they're just talking to the people and finding out how people are reacting, and finding property, checking out the water, checking out the power, and just in general checking everything out for us. So by next week we'll know pretty much where we're going to settle.
Okay. And do you have a time frame for when all this is going to happen?
No, it's just, I never have had a time frame for anything I've done. It just happened, and usually it works out pretty well that way. It just comes together. When something's right, it works. If it's wrong, it won't work. It never will. You can try to pull something over on people, try to, waylay them one way or another, try to con them into something. It just doesn't work. You have to be open with them, and people have to be able to trust you, and you have to be able to trust them. And when it all works out that way, it just comes together great.
Well, trust is very important, and, it requires integrity. You have to have the integrity first before other people will trust you. And most of our politicians certainly don't have that kind of integrity, and they certainly don't have the people's trust. So having a county in Texas where, the neighbors trust each other and they trust the sheriff and the other elected officials, that would be a major change. We've got another commercial coming up. Please give us a call, 800-259-5791. If you are interested in this free county project, give us a call. We'll let you know some of the details. Don't go away. We'll be right back. This is our country, my country, your country, and you and I together are lighting the fires of liberty. Thanks you so much for joining us. It is Monday night, and we still haven't heard from Max Kane. We hope that he's well. And I was pretty impressed. I was even sitting here drinking a glass of raw milk waiting for him to call. So, Linda, we're going to go to this Texas county. You say that you already have 300 people who have expressed an interest?
Oh, yeah. There's probably been more than that. Some of them I just deleted because they would write like, what kind of house do you have for us to live in, or how are we going to make a living, or, some off-the-wall thing, like, I'm disabled, can somebody help me do this, or, right. I'm not against disabled people, but we have to be self-sufficient. We can't be depending on the government to supply everything for us.
Right. So, So you've got about 300 people who have expressed an interest. How did you find all these people?
Oh, I've got different groups I write to, and I have a newsletter that goes out. I've got right at 9,000 people on my newsletter.
Wow.
So, and then that newsletter, I get it forwarded back to me because people don't know who I am. So they forward me my own newsletter. So it's being passed around.
Well, I know that your newsletter does get a lot of, traction. It was only a few hours after you'd sent out the notice that you had nominated me as sheriff. I was volunteered. I swear I didn't, I didn't step backwards fast enough. But I had 3 phone calls that same evening. It was last Monday.
Really?
And I had three phone calls asking me, "Gosh, I heard this. Is that true?" And
you said yes, it's not, didn't you?
Well, yeah, I'm whatever it takes for liberty. I don't have liberty as my highest priority. I have liberty as my only priority right now. And there are people who are worried that gosh, I won't have any money to retire on if I don't get a job. And I let them know if we don't restore this constitutional republic, there won't be a United States for me to retire in.
That's the truth. And besides that, Michael, you're looking for a job. Well, there you go.
That's true. And that was my question. I said, well, what am I going to do when I'm in, and you said, well, what would you like to do? And that's right. I said, I opened my mouth and stepped
right
into
in it.
And, part of me feels like, being the sheriff, I mean, that just seems like Disneyland. Like, somebody has volunteered to take me to the dark side of the moon, and it somehow doesn't feel like it could ever happen. But that's really the same feeling that I had back in 2003 when somebody said, we want you to run for president.
Well, just think, Michael, you can start off as the sheriff, then you walk up to the governor's office, and then we'll look at George Bush.
Right.
He went right from the governor's office to the presidency.
Right. Well, he had lots of money backing him, and electronic voting machines too that voted for him.
That's something we're going to have to do something about, and you as sheriff can. We're going to have to change the voting system out there.
And with the small number of people, we could easily have hand-counted paper ballots.
Exactly.
And count them, in less than an hour.
Yep.
Hell, we could recount them in less than an hour. So,
well, if we have good homeschooled kids, we won't need a recount because they'll count them right the first time.
Well, that's true. We can really affect everybody's life in this county. And how much education do you think we're going to have to give, the people who are already there with regard to what it would be like to live in a free society? Do you think that's going to be a difficult change? Do you think these people
I think it would be difficult if we went in there with the idea we're going to tell you how to live, but we're not. We're going in there to live ourselves, and it'll rub off, I think.
Well, if they're living in a remote county, they're probably pretty stubbornly independent anyway.
Oh, I would say, yeah.
Either that or, they don't have a car that works to get them out of town. So, if they are there, I'm guessing that, they already do just about everything for themselves to begin with. And having someone come in promising to be the sheriff and promising to keep the federal government out of their lives would be a significant change.
Well, from what I've seen from the investigation, the research that I've done on the county, most of these people are past 50. There are very few young people there. So I would imagine that they're getting to the point where they remember what freedom is. And it probably hasn't touched them as much as it has us in the cities. But they see TV and they know there's something bad going on, but there's not much they can do about it, But if they have enough people there, they can make their own rules. It's like, Lord, what could be wrong with that, Let's get away from all this government. We'll just We just want to live. I don't want anybody telling me I have to put a meter on my well, which is what they're doing here in North Carolina now. They're trying to talk people into putting meters on their own private water wells for our own protection, of course.
Was that a counter every time you pulled a bucket up out of the...
Oh, no, you get I think it's 10,000 gallons of water, and you don't have to pay for it. Well, I don't have to pay for it now.
Right.
You know, so why do I don't need somebody to come and stick pipes down my well to test my water. If it's bad water, I'd be sick. And, you know, I just don't want it. I don't want any additives to it, and I don't want to give them the right to come on my property, period. It's mine. I dug the well. It's my water.